It would seem as though.
Hi, it's me. You're welcome.
And it's me too. I'm here too.
Oh
God. I'm here too. Jeez. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is. Good
Day to
Good
you.
day. Welcome back to another episode of It Would Seem As Though, the podcast where we talk about anything, everything, and nothing.
And mostly nothing.
Yeah. Often
nothing.
Sometimes we just get on our little tangents because why? Tangents are topics.
Yes, ma'am. I also like that it's like our opening, like, oh, let's debrief about the week or things we think are interesting. And literally 45 minutes later, we're like, okay, our intro is done.
Yeah, right. That was our intro, and now we have a minute and a half for our actual topic. Our topic today is what is wrong with the world.
Yeah.
Go. 2 minutes.
Yep. You know.
Even if you can't wrap it up in 2 minutes, it's not worth it.
No.
I mean, really. So, yeah, we get rid of all the fluff at the first, first hour.
Mm-hmm. And then we talk about all we know about the world in a minute and a half.
Yeah.
Well,
the world's on fire. There we are. That wasn't even 2 seconds.
No, you did great.
Thanks.
You're quick.
I know. How was your week?
Good.
Anything exciting?
I'm trying to think. Well, I don't go to work anymore.
I
so
know.
that's
You're a lady of leisure.
And it's beautiful. Yeah, it's been good. Gavin started his job yesterday. He's loving it.
Yeah.
He, for those of you who don't know, works at Xerox. He does something in the research and development department with engineers. That's all I can tell you.
Yeah. He makes giant copiers to make giant copies.
Exactly.
Yeah. That's what I got out of it. He makes the biggest copies that you can make of anything, like billboards, probably.
Oh yeah, it just one sheet.
Yeah, one sheet billboards and
super simple.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't see a problem with that.
But working in like the research and development, that's cool because when new stuff comes out, he has to be one of the people who tests it to make sure the new stuff is actually going to be functional. So that's really cool. He's going to be ahead of the game with like knowing what's on market and what's coming out.
All right, so if you could be in research and development of any product, what would it be?
Oh my god, I don't know because research and development is like my dream. But see, I don't know if it would be a product. I would want to do it for like training initiatives for like diversity, equity, and inclusion. That's what I would want to do.
Oh, so you just want the world to be diverse
and like equitable
and equitable.
It's I know.
That's what's wrong with the world. All you woke people who want everyone to have equal rights and shit.
Listen, a lot of R&D is like very scientifically made.
Now, R&D, is that like D&D?
It's like D&D, but
for smart people. Oh.
I've never played D&D, bitch. But yeah, but a lot of it has to do with like technical, sciencey. And I'm like, okay, so part of me is sciencey, but it's social science. It's not like, we're going to engineer physics or chemistry. No, ma'am, I don't understand none of that. So I said, science. It's like when I mock people doing business.
Me with science.
And they have a briefcase and they're just shaking hands going, business. Have that on my desk by Monday. Business. Thank you. Yeah. Business. Right. Bonuses. Business. Or whatever. I don't know.
Whatever happens.
I don't know how business works.
I don't think... You know what I think is in those briefcases?
What?
A bottle of booze.
Oh, yeah.
And their lunch.
And their burner phone for when they're talking to their mistress.
Oh, yeah.
That's all I think.
Yeah.
You don't really
That's
have
probably accurate.
You don't have it. And why aren't you carrying a backpack? You know what I mean? It's not easier than carrying a briefcase.
Well, but a briefcase looks so much more official. But it also makes you look old.
Right. It makes you look old. Also just inefficient. I don't know. Yeah. Just carry a backpack.
Yeah. I think I would want to be in research and development for like makeup.
Yeah, that makes sense. But a lot of that is upsetting to me because a lot of makeup companies still test on animals.
Did you know that in some countries, to get your product sold in their country, you have to test on animals?
Yep. Because that was
China is one of them.
Yeah, I was going to say that was the whole uprising about MAC Cosmetics because they used to 1 million years ago test and then they stopped.
Right.
Whatever. They stopped testing on animals, but to sell in the Chinese market, they needed to test on animals, which I think is fucking absurd. But
yeah,
I know.
Yeah, it's gross.
I couldn't. Yeah, you know what? I just told you I watched Guardians of the Galaxy 3, and there's a lot of animal testing kind of backstory because it deals with Rocket,
right?
the
Rocket the raccoon,
and it's just like I can't handle shit like that. It's like torture porn in a way. It makes me want to fucking die.
Yeah.
Okay, but also let's see. I have an interview today.
Right.
It's to work for a nonprofit called NICWA, which is the National Indian Child Welfare Association. That'd be really exciting if I could just transfer from, retail customer service into nonprofit work. That'd be exciting.
That would be.
So we'll see.
And then you could use your smarts and your degrees.
I don't know anything. I just pretended the whole time.
Mm-hmm. Well, but you've done a really good job of pretending.
Thank you. I'm good at
And somehow you pretended your way to the honor roll and straight A's.
And really good at
and
lying.
well played. Good on you.
Yeah. Other than that, I took after I left work, I took a solid 10 days and said, I'm not doing literally anything. I'll do homework.
Except going, I have to work. No, I don't.
I know, panicking, being like, oh my god, I have to go to work tomorrow. And then be like, oh no, I don't.
No, as a matter of fact, I don't.
Guess who does after that? Me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's wonderful. That's great.
Yeah. Well, I know you just mentioned that you just watched Guardians 3.
Mm-hmm.
I just watched a series that I want everyone to watch because the lead is a thick black girl.
Oh my god.
And she wrote it.
Oh my god.
So double love.
Oh.
She's fucking hilarious. Michelle Buteau.
Right.
Who I adore. And if you haven't seen her, she has a Netflix stand-up special called Welcome to Butopia.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hilarious. It's not appropriate to watch with your children. Because she talks about sex things.
Is she the one who's married to the Swedish?
Yes.
Okay.
From the Netherlands.
Netherlands, that's right.
Yes.
I knew he was European.
His name is Gijs.
Gijs.
Yeah.
Gijs. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it's spelled like jizz. So, yes. But her new show is called Survival of the Thickest.
Okay.
So it's about this gorgeous, thick black woman who's making her way as a stylist, but she wants to style everyone and make everyone feel gorgeous, not just the rich and thin.
Yeah, I get it.
Right? And her BFF is Peppermint, the drag queen, who's in most of the episodes.
Yeah.
And so she also does a lot of
trans.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, Peppermint, who's a trans drag queen.
Black woman.
Mm-hmm. Gorgeous.
Yeah.
Oh, God, gorgeous. She's so beautiful. Mm-hmm. Sometimes I can barely look right at her. She's so beautiful. Yeah. it's like looking into the sun.
Yeah. She'll burn your retinas out.
But it's wonderful. It's 8 episodes.
Okay.
Yeah. So it's like one of those 8-hour movies we were talking about last week.
Right.
That I watched in over 2 days. So I was 4 hours one day, 4 hours the next
4
day.
hours of a movie is fine.
Fantastic.
Yeah. I
loved it. Lived it. Loved living it.
Okay.
Survival of the Thickest on Netflix.
Love.
There's a couple other little things I want to push movie-wise. Now, well, actually, I'll get to that in a minute.
You're a pusher.
I'm a pusher now. But I want to talk about my week.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about that.
It was Pride here in Portland.
Oh, right.
But before Pride happened, there was an event at Darcel's that broke a world record.
It sure did.
And for the longest continually running drag show. So it was a 48-hour drag show.
Girl.
Which sounds like death to me.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and when I talked to some of the girls who were in it, because I knew the bulk of the people in it, but there were celebrities who came from all over the place.
Eureka O'Hara came, bitch.
Eureka O'Hara, Frankie Grande.
That's right.
Fred Armisen.
Oh my god.
Carrie Brownstein.
Oh my god.
Busy Phillips.
Really?
Peppermint.
How funny. I didn't know all these bitches were there.
Stacey London from What Not to Wear.
Yeah? Really?
So yeah, all those people came and they did this show and it was literally 48. It ended up in the end, and I'm not going to tell you the exact because I will be wrong and then I don't want to be quoted. But I think it was like 48 hours, 11 minutes, and 7 seconds or something. Yeah. So they went over, because the last one that was the world record holder, I think, was 36.
Okay.
And they wanted to really break it.
Yeah.
So that it wasn't like 36 in 10 seconds, you know?
Yeah.
And so the deal was, because all this stuff to get in the world record book, it is very serious. The World Record Book Committee comes and they tell you exactly what you need to do, and they're there monitoring your shit to make sure it's real. And they, you have to have legal, like when Darcel was in for being the oldest working drag queen, they had to see birth certificates and have affidavits from people going, yeah, this isn't, she just got up on stage yesterday.
Yeah. As if you couldn't see the hundreds of pictures of Darcel throughout the years.
Right. So there was a big countdown clock beside the stage, and it was sponsored by
Wild Fang.
Wild Thing.
Wild Fang.
Fang. Wild Fang, which is a clothing company, yes?
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it was the first night of it, they brought, like, jammies for everyone.
Cute.
Somebody else came in the morning and brought, like, breakfast for everyone.
Oh my god, we should have
biscuits
gone.
and gravy. Someone came and brought pizza.
Girl, we should have just hung out at Darcel's for 2 days.
I know. Well, what's crazy is my friend Poison Waters, who's amazing, and I don't know how she does it.
Right.
I don't know how she does it, because she does drag, like, 48 hours a day.
That's a lot.
I know. She does drag all the fucking time.
Yeah.
Because that's her job now. It's her living.
It's her whole job.
But she was there for this for the entire thing.
Yeah.
She literally napped for 4 hours out of the 48.
Girl.
No, ma'am.
Did she go home?
No.
She just lay in the backstage?
I don't know. Knowing that girl, she probably just made a bed out of some clothes in the basement and laid down, took a nap. Took her wig off, shaved her face again. I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know, honestly, because I haven't had a chance to talk to her about it. But she was there for most of it. My friend Cassie, who works there, was there for most of it. She said she was there for 36 of those 48 hours.
Holy God.
Just the idea of it makes me want to die.
Yeah.
But I was talking to Maria, my friend Maria, who was also in the show. And actually I wasn't talking to her. I was talking to her ex-wife, Kimberly, about it. And she was saying that she did a 2-hour block.
Okay.
Because most of the queens who performed, except for the Darcel cast, did 2-hour blocks.
Okay.
But in that 2 hours, they did like 8 or 9 songs.
Jesus Christ.
Death.
Is that not what you just did, though, at your show?
Well, yeah.
Yeah. So
I mean,
if we would have just done, like, the Meet Patio Door experience.
Well, I guess, except I couldn't. It had to be, it was very specific. It's like, you couldn't have, like, 20 minutes of talking.
Oh.
And then this much. They was very much, you have this much, the MCs could MC this much time, and there were time clocks telling you how much they could talk.
Holy shit.
I know, it's great. It was very specific.
So they didn't let Poison MC, because that bitch would have talked.
And the performers couldn't be MCs.
Oh.
It was like, you are a performer and you are an MC.
And let me tell you something. To me, that just feels... I know it was for a record, but it just feels like you're regulating drag, which feels stupid as fuck to me. Because if you've been to a drag show, sometimes there's a lot of MC talking.
Right.
Sometimes there's
well,
not
exactly.
Much. Right.
Because I know when I hosted my show, the way that it went was I would do my little opening song.
Yeah.
And then I would talk for probably about anywhere from 10 to 20 minutes. And usually closer to 10. Because I was anxious to get off the stage. And then I would do my next number, and then I'd go and start introducing the show. But yes, I've been at shows where there's whole blocks of, like, comedy sets where people talk. Or where they're meeting the audience, or whatever. Or talking to the irritating bridesmaids, or whoever's in the crowd. You know. But, yeah, so it felt weird. But I think to keep it all on the up and up, it had to be... You weren't just sitting on stage talking for hours, you know. Whatever. Yeah. But they did it. They broke the record.
Love it.
And so kudos to them. So I found out, I didn't know this, because Darcel passed earlier this year. Mm-hmm. She's the one who set this up.
Oh.
This was her idea.
I love that.
And so she really is responsible for this happening, which I think is awesome and exciting. And then, of course, Poison ran with it.
Mm-hmm, of course.
Because Poison is awesome and amazing. And I adore her. Mm-hmm. So that happened, and that's awesome. But I really can't imagine. No. And I can't, I mean, yes, I did recently just do that many 9 songs in 2 hours. But I sat down in between. And I didn't change for all of them. I did like 3 songs and then changed. You know, and sat down. Ooh, so exhausting. Because I know Maria changed, I guess, for every single song. So that's 9 costume changes.
That's exhausting.
Yeah. I'm tired just thinking about it.
Yeah.
And then, so this last Sunday was Pride. Here in Portland. It's usually June, but I found out, I thought what I had been told was that it was due to a scheduling snafu that they had to put it in July. Mm-hmm. Well, that was only a tiny part of it. The bigger part of it is they didn't want it to be the same weekend as Juneteenth.
Oh, okay.
And as the powwow.
Oh, yeah, it makes sense.
Because they were like, they don't want to be like making people choose like which thing you're going to go to.
Yeah, are you going to go support the indigenous people or the black people or the queer people?
I was like, let's give you a chance to support all of them.
Yeah.
So they moved it to July, and it was fine, except it was 1,000 degrees.
Right.
And
but
so,
did we go? Did you and I go?
No.
No, ma'am.
No, for the first time, my family went without me at my, my request, because I was like, I'm exhausted.
Yeah. And you had a show that night.
And I was doing Bolivia's show that night, but it was also, I just needed some quiet time.
Uh-huh.
I needed time where nobody needed anything of me.
Yep.
Which doesn't happen very often.
So take your husband, take your children, take your mother. Get out.
That's right. And so I asked my husband, I was like, I have a big ask for you. I said, can you go to Pride on Sunday without me and take the kids and take my mother so that I have the house to myself? And he was like, sure. I did the same for him the day before. I went to a party.
Which was precious.
So he had 4 quiet, no one bothering him hours.
Love that.
Right. But here's kind of so we went to this party that I go to usually every year from my friend's house, and it was lovely. It's good food. He lives out in out Beaverton. He lives about an hour from here.
Mm-hmm. But in like the woods.
Yeah.
It's like farmland more than woods, I suppose.
Yeah. But the view from his house is spectacular.
Stunning.
You can see all the mountains, whatever.
It's amazing.
Well, he hired this singer.
What?
He hired a singer to just entertain the crowd, right? Who was like a little one-man band.
Okay.
I wish that I could play for you, because I did record a little clip, because oh my god, it was terrible. I don't think John had heard him. He found an ad or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, whatever.
But
he sets up his little thing, and he has a little sign with all of the little QR codes, like Venmo me or PayPal me or whatever, pay me.
Yeah,
Everybody can tip me. Here's how you can tip
me.
me.
Send me
money. But he had the little Madonna headset microphone.
I love it. And did he have pointed boobs?
He did not. No cone bra.
Love it.
But what he did have was one of those little things, and I don't know what they're called, that they operate with their foot.
Oh, okay.
It's a little footboard kind of thing. And I've
seen
it. I've seen Trixie use it. I've seen it in Pitch Perfect.
Sure.
But his doubled and tripled his voice.
Oh.
So that you sound like you had backup singers. Mm-hmm. But backup singers singing the exact same part
That's not
you're
right.
singing.
That's not right.
And he sang everything through his nose.
Ooh.
And it was terrible.
Hmm.
It was, because one of the songs I was like, what is he even singing? Because he also had he looked like he was eating the microphone.
Okay.
So it was just all, like, all the words were mumbled.
Yeah.
And I was like, you're
doing great, sweetie.
You're terrible.
Yeah.
Yay.
Boo.
And so I clapped at the end because he was done.
Oh,
he finished that. That's, woo. Thank God. I know. But I recorded a little bit of it, which I will play for you later. I can't do it here.
Yeah.
Because I would probably get in trouble.
Yeah.
But
we'd get sued.
I'm just telling you it was bad.
We'd get sued.
Well, the fact that he sounded like Neil Young with a head cold.
Oh, okay. Well, that's a sound.
Yeah. It is definitely, it was absolutely a song. Yeah. It was
that
something.
what we're calling it?
It was something.
It was
and so then on my free time the next day, I just I did fuck nothing. I did laundry in the morning like I always do on Sunday.
Yep.
And then I sat and watched TV. I finished watching Survival of the Thickest, and then I started watching this show called Glamorous. Have you heard of that? Mm-mm. Also a queer-friendly show. Kim Cattrall plays this former supermodel who owns a makeup company.
Okay.
And this young queer kid comes to work for her to shake things up. And the cute thing is that they are always in kind of a mixture of things, like maybe a boyish top, but then cropped shorts and high heels and a little bit of makeup and whatever. So very,
oh my god,
very non-binary. Yeah, very queer. Love it.
Yeah,
and half the cast is queer.
Oh,
love that.
Love it. I'm about it.
And it's also half the cast is people of color.
Oh, even better.
So I love that. And the lead character is also, I think he's Latino.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like the entire cast, other than Kim Cattrall and her son.
Oh, her son's in it.
Not her real son. The queer guy who's plays her son on there. Anyway, so that's also cute and fun and whatever.
But the point is, you did nothing.
But I did nothing. I watched TV.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yeah, that was it. And then the Sunday night, I went and did the show at CC Slaughter's for my good friend, my good Judy Bolivia Carmichaels.
Who is one of the most hysterical queens I've ever met.
First of all, I love Bolivia.
Uh-huh.
Love, have mad love for Bolivia. She is such a hardworking queen, and she's also amazing and wonderful and sweet.
Yeah.
Here's where I'm going to complain a little bit, but not about her, because love her. But the venue, which used to actually have a stage, now does not. They've
figured out.
Yeah. So you now perform on the dance floor.
Okay.
With people sitting around. And so there's enough room for people to sit kind of around the dance floor, but then a lot of people are behind those people. It's all weird. But the dance floor, people do on the dance floor, they spill their drinks. So the dance floor was sticky. And my feet stuck.
And you're all, help me.
I'm like, I can't move my feet. So it's like, at one point, I was performing and my foot stuck to the floor and I thought I was going down. So as my foot unstuck and I was like unsure, I turned it into a kooky looking little dance step.
Yeah, you're dead. She death dropped it.
Oh died. God! But also my first number of the evening, I'm doing Danny's All-Star Joint, which is a little fun up-tempo jazzy song by Ricky Lee Jones. And I'm wearing just this long, cute dress, whatever, that covers most of my body, which I'm not known for. I'm known for, having tits out. Whatever. Anyway, there's a performer right before me who is the beautiful and talented Devlin Lynn Fox. Phoenix. Is that right? Phoenix.
Uh-huh.
Sorry.
Devlin
Lynn Phoenix. It's kind of a tongue twister, her name. But lovely, talented girl who did a strip. So young, beautiful strip. Mm-hmm. Right before the old lady comes out and does this.
With her walker and her dentures.
Right, yeah.
And her clacky dentures.
Right. I rolled out in my wheelchair and, whatever. And then forgot what I was doing because I'm old. And
Where am I?
Right. Didn't lip sync any of the words. I just sat there like, who are these people?
My family came to see me.
Uh-huh. Oh, look, it's a family reunion. Yeah. No, but I was standing there watching her before I went on going, I have to follow this?
I quit. I'm out.
Now, I have never been the kind of performer who was worried about who I followed.
Yeah.
But I'm following a young girl stripping who is gorgeous and talented. And I'm like, and the audience is going crazy. And they're just throwing money at her. And I'm all, okay. Well, but it was fine.
No one has any more money to give me.
It's threw her all the money. So I will not make any money. I did. I made fine tips. I'm sure she made hundreds of dollars just on that one.
Yeah.
But, it was good.
She would get naked.
But, yeah, it was fun. The one thing I forgot, because it's been so long since I actually worked at a bar, is Pride. And it's other special occasions, too, but mostly Pride. Often, the boys who work at the bar, and sometimes the girls, too, are mostly naked.
Uh-huh.
It's also summer.
Yeah.
And so...
In a hot-ass bar.
In a hot-ass bar, every man that I saw that worked there, other than, I think, the one guy who was, cleaning up.
Yeah.
All of them were wearing just, a jockstrap.
Could you imagine your dress code during the summer? Just jockstrap.
No.
No, thank you.
I'll pass. And, right. So I was like, wow, that's a lot of naked asses.
I've seen so many naked asses tonight. Yeah,
right.
honestly.
And a lot of them were not necessarily the naked asses I would want to see.
Yeah.
A lot of them were very pasty white.
White people.
Yeah, white people. And I don't even mind that they were jiggly naked ass. I don't care about that. Yeah. But it was when they're the color of Elmer's glue.
And the rest of your body's tan. What happened? What happened here?
Yeah, maybe, just maybe, if you're going to be ass out, you should... Get a little color on your
just self-tan that bitch.
Yeah,
something. Just bronze her up.
Right.
No. It's hard.
I don't think that's that much to ask.
No.
But it was fun. I had a good time. I was exhausted the next day as usual, as I knew I would be. Because, so they had me in a dressing room that wasn't... So the dressing room for the bar is downstairs. Mm-hmm. Well, I'm old, bad knees, don't like to do the stairs. So they found a spot for me, which I thought was very, very accommodating of them, and that was lovely. But the only spot they could find for me was this out-of-commission bathroom that they also use for storage.
Love that.
Yeah.
So there's patio door next to all the filing cabinets.
Well, it was giant speakers.
Oh, love. Okay.
Yeah. And in a bathroom, there's a giant sign on the door that says, bathroom out of service. And people are still trying to open the door to get in there. It's a huge sign.
Well, they're drunk. They can't read.
I guess.
You're expecting too much.
I didn't think I was.
You are.
Thankfully, the door was locked and nobody could come in and bother me.
Yeah.
But it was like, really? As they're rattling the door trying to get in. Big sign.
Why is this door open?
What is out of service? Does that mean no one can use, or I can't? What does that mean?
Is this discrimination?
No one's going to service me in here? What does that mean? I don't know.
Well, it's plenty of bathrooms in a queer bar.
Bathroom in a queer bar.
Where you'll get
Someone's
serviced.
probably going to service you.
Back the fuck up.
Right.
This is not the bar for you.
Really just say back the fuck up. That's how they're going to service you. Don't. It is a queer bar. It is Pride. Anything can happen.
I'm leaving.
So happy Pride.
Yeah, in July.
Happy queerness and
all year.
All the stuff.
Yes,
all
happy
the stuff.
married.
Speaking of queerness, there's a movie coming out that I think we're going to have to see together.
Okay.
It's called Theater Camp.
Oh my god, I've seen the preview trailers, whatever they are. I want to see it so badly. It looks so good.
Well, it's like, it's a mockumentary.
Uh-huh.
Much like some of our favorites, like Drop Dead Gorgeous, Best in Show.
It's also very much reminiscent of the movie Camp.
Yes. Well, and when I read this morning, I was like, that's got to be an awful lot like the movie Camp.
Yeah.
Which, when I first saw it, I was like, this movie is a giant ball of cheese.
Uh-huh.
And then it took me a while to really appreciate it.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, had I seen this as a young queer theater kid, I would have been goo goo gaga over this movie.
Yeah.
I would have been cuckoo crazy over it. But seeing it as a fully realized adult who lived many years in the queer community, I was like, they could have hired better actors. But it was cute. Anna Kendrick made her acting debut.
I know. I do
movie.
love that movie, though.
And she's a little monster.
Isn't she? What is she? Is she like poisoned with Wolex or something?
Well, the girl who she's like
the servant too.
Basically, because she's like, "Oh my god, I love you. You're the best." And it's like, "Okay, well, you can be my servant for the rest of the time you're at camp, and I'll let you hang around me." Well, then she poisons her
with wolite.
Was that what it was?
It's something like that, yeah.
Puts it in her drink. She drinks it and like starts barfing on stage, and they have to pull her off stage. And suddenly, here's Anna Kendrick
ready to
dressed
go
for the
on,
role and sings the part of Ladies Who Lunch.
Yeah,
perfectly.
It's so funny.
It was like terrifyingly.
Yeah,
and then she puts like glass in her powder. Or something. It's like,
yeah,
what is wrong with you people?
Well, she really wanted the role,
I guess, and it's like the beads on the stage at
yeah.
Showgirls.
Yeah.
So I can't wait for that to come out. But it's a mockumentary which we love.
Yep.
And it actually started out, I learned that it started out as a little short.
Oh, okay.
That Ben Platt and his husband and another couple made the short.
Okay.
But it became so hugely popular, they decided to make it a full-length feature.
How funny. Yeah, I didn't realize that.
So I
love
have to
Ben
try and
Platt.
find the short.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I'm sure I'll love it.
And there's a lot of people in it that I recognize.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, quite a few people. Looking at, like, just even in the preview, I was like, oh, there are quite a few people in this that I know from other things.
Okay.
Yeah. And one of my favorite parts is during an audition, one of the people auditioning the performers says, "You're allergic to wool? Why?" Or polyester. "You're allergic to polyester? Why?" Like, like it's her choice. Oh, I just choose to
Why
be.
did you select that thing to be
Yeah.
allergic to?
You chose wrong. Do better. You're in theater. You're not going to wear polyester? Huh.
Yeah, that would be tough.
I don't know what you're going to wear.
Because you have to wear costumes that aren't going to wrinkle.
You're going to go out naked?
No.
You're going to be naked?
Sorry. Well,
Well,
that's an option if you're doing Oh Calcutta.
well,
Or the big dance scene in Hair. But that's it. That's pretty limited.
yeah. For
So
naked
when I
dancing.
was a young person, there was a show that ran forever called Oh Calcutta. And it's an entirely nude review. And it was like, I want to say it was off-Broadway, but it ran forever. It ran for a really long time. And I don't even know, does it have a plot or is it just naked people on stage? I don't know. I mean, it must have some storyline.
I guess.
I would think.
Yeah.
You know, but there's also the puppetry of the penis.
Oh,
Have you
right.
seen that?
Mm-hmm. I know, but I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. And I'm like, it's exactly what it sounds like. Doing puppetry with your penis.
I'm out.
But with your actual, not like a puppet of a penis.
I'm leaving. Could you
I know.
imagine auditioning for that? People are like, so what can your penis do?
Oh, I'm sorry, your penis is too small to make a puppet. You can't make balloon animals with it. You gotta put it away.
Your penis is not funny enough.
Your penis looks way too normal.
I know. You get out of here.
Yeah, I'm sorry, you'll have to go.
Your penis doesn't have much character.
No,
Where's the character
I'm not
development?
I don't believe your penis. I don't believe that that's the act it's doing. Ugh.
Oh my god.
I know.
I love it.
There's another movie that I really don't know very much about, but I just learned about this morning.
Okay.
It's called Blue Jean. So, in the late 80s, when Margaret Thatcher was Prime Minister in England, it was very conservative. She was a very conservative leader. They had something called Section 28, which was an amendment that kept homosexuality out of the classroom. Like every queer teacher ever is like trying to teach kids about homosexuality.
Let me tell you what I do about homosexuality.
Yeah, and this is what my partner and I do in the bedroom.
Right.
No.
Ugh.
Who does that? But they weren't even supposed to talk about it, like no mention of it, whatever. And so it follows this young lady who is a PE teacher.
Okay.
Now I know it's really a reach for a lesbian PE teacher. No one's ever heard of that.
Never heard.
So they really went out on a limb here. But it just kind of follows her story and the fear of what would happen to her and her career and her family and all the things.
Okay.
So
sounds traumatizing.
Yeah, probably.
Let's watch it.
Oh, speaking of traumatizing, I just saw a preview this morning for a movie that actually I don't know that I can watch.
Okay.
It's called Till. Because it's about Emmett Till.
Oh, nope.
And it's mostly really about his mother.
Right.
And the battle that she had with all of the things. Because for those of you who don't know,
oh my God,
which is probably many of you, Emmett Till was a young man, a young black man.
What, he was like 11?
No, he was like 16.
He looks like a baby though.
He was a baby.
Yeah.
Who had the audacity to... Did he whistle at a...
okay.
And that's still contested.
As allegedly
whistled at a white woman.
Uh-huh.
And many people say that's not even true.
Yeah.
That he didn't do anything. But he looked at her.
Mm-hmm.
And...
But there's more, because the woman is still alive.
The woman is still alive. And she's 150.
Well, and she's come out and said that he didn't.
Right.
She said that it didn't happen. But she went home and told... mommy, daddy, brother, boyfriend, who the fuck ever. They're probably all the same person, to be honest.
This little black man traumatized her and whatever. So a mob went and murdered him in the most gruesome of fashions.
And brutalized him.
And and it wasn't just they killed him.
No.
They killed him in a really horrific way, which caused his body to be completely unrecognizable. Yeah. And so Mom, in her grief, was like, we're going to have an open casket funeral. I want the world to see what these white people did to my children. I want the world to see what racism looks like and what it does to our children and whatever. And so she had a big fight. She fought with her own family. She fought with the media. She fought with, of course, the white people who threatened her. And so that's what this movie is about. And it's on, I think it's on Amazon. Wait, where is it? No, it's on Prime, Paramount Plus, and MGM.
So everywhere.
It's an important movie.
But they're so okay.
I know.
Listen,
I don't think that's why I said I don't think I can watch it. I know the story. I've seen the photographs.
Right.
And if you before you watch the movie, I recommend you look it up.
Yeah.
Because here's your trigger warning. It is disgusting.
It's distressing.
What they did to him is so inhumane that I can't even believe a human could do that to another human.
Yeah.
Or to anything.
Yeah.
Human, animal, I don't care. It was horrible.
Yep.
And so, yeah.
There's a movie that just came out recently or is coming out, and it's about indigenous residential schools where, the Catholics and Protestants basically just stole Native children from tribes and put them in residential schools.
Right, to civilize them.
Yeah. Cut their hair, taught them the white way, taught them about Christianity. But there's a movie about it, and, it shows children in the residential schools and how, the nuns and, the workers treated them. And I was like, indigeneity is one of my favorite topics, but I don't think I can. You know what I mean? I don't think I can watch it. It's going to make me want to die. I can't watch things that make me want to die anymore. Guardians of the Galaxy and Animal Torture, I can't even watch that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to be able to watch,
The older I get, the more really
delicate.
Ultra sensitive I get to this kind of stuff. Or to anything. It's I don't want to watch something that's going to make me have anxiety. you know, and I get that sometimes you have to watch the hard things, but it's like, I already know this story. I know what happened.
And I think there's a difference. I think, you know, because for in school, in college, I've learned a lot about atrocities that humans inflict on other humans. And so I know a lot about, you know, Indigenous boarding schools or Emmett Till or the different effects of racism physically to Black and brown people. I think that I know that, and I know, you know, a lot of what happened or the truth behind it or, like, you know, the steps that got you there, right? I don't need to watch a dramatic reenactment of that happening. Do you know what I mean?
Yes,
it's
absolutely.
too much. Well, and I feel like, but then there's things like Pose, things that are very queer relevant, that also have violence and crime and murder, that I feel like those stories haven't been told. Do you know what I mean?
Oh, I agree.
Right.
I agree. I mean, if you're in the queer community, if you're in the queer Black community, you know those stories.
Yeah.
You know, but in the queer white community, you probably don't.
Yeah.
You know, you've heard little bits and pieces. I mean, if you watch Pose, you now know some of it.
Yeah.
If you've watched Paris is Burning, you know some of it. But it's just the tip of the iceberg.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta kind of get all the aspects of all the things.
Well, and it's funny, I'm giving Gavin, like, Queer 101, like, showing him all the queer things and giving him more information. He knows some. His first drag show in person was your show, though. And a couple years prior to that, his father, who's a deacon of the Catholic Church, bought tickets to a drag show that was all via
virtual.
Zoom. Yeah, which was really cute. But when we were talking about drag, and we were talking about old school versus, like, newer drag, right? And he was like, so is old school drag like ballroom? And I said, no, different. You know what I mean? It is technically, like, it is from the past, but it's not what white people would consider old school drag.
Right,
you know?
no.
But yeah, so everyone should watch Pose. I say that all the time.
Ballroom was specifically started because in the queer pageant system, it was very white. And Black girls were always, like, even if they were the best, the most beautiful, the most talented, they were still runner-up at best.
Yeah.
You know, and so the less deserving white girl would always win the crown. I mean, sometimes I'm sure the white girl was the most deserving. But not all, you know, not enough that it's like that they never won.
Yeah.
You know, whatever. And so that's how it was started. And it was started by people like Crystal LaBeija, who was one of those people who ran in, you know, beauty pageants and never won. And she was finally like, fuck this. I'm going to start my own system where it's specifically for Black and brown, you know, men and women. And, you know.
And the only white people you ever really saw there were trans people, like trans white people. Other than that, and I mean, not even predominantly. It was predominantly Black and brown people.
You know, and it was, what's funny is when Pose was happening, I heard, or I actually read, I didn't hear, I read conversations where people were like, you know, well, this, you know, that's racist that they kept out all the white people. It's like, you're everywhere.
You're literally
You
everywhere.
don't need to be in every space with everyone.
Girl, I just hate the fact that white people are being like, oh, so it's only for this race of people, then it's racism. Like, that's not what it is. And that's the whole...
That's not even what racism is.
No, and that's... I know this is like a deviation of topic, but the whole, you know, Indian Child Welfare Act, the one that white people want to... roll back because it's racist, because it's about Native children staying, if they need to be adopted, or staying in tribes, specifically their own tribe. But white people are pissed off because they can't now adopt, well, they haven't been able to adopt Native children, and that's racism.
Yeah. So, but it wouldn't be racism for you to adopt that Indigenous child and then make them white. Make sure they didn't ever learn their culture. Name them Brittany. Whatever. And I was like, so that's not racist?
Yeah.
You're erasing an entire culture.
Yeah, exactly.
And I don't understand why white people get so, you know, whatever, crazy about being left out of something.
I know.
And it is because I think, well, I guess I do understand, it's because they feel like they're in control of everything.
They're entitled to everything.
They're entitled to everything.
Everything.
Well, you're not. You know.
I know. It is so weird to me. It's like a weird flex. Like, okay, so there's these things that, you know, Black and brown people want to be together without the influence of white people because of the history of white people, you know, or like race relations. And you're all bent out of shape because they're being like, no, I'm sorry, this is for Black and brown people. Why are you mad? Like, why are you mad? Because again, everywhere else is for white people.
Yes. Literally everywhere.
So they have to create spaces for queer, Black, brown, trans people. And you act like they're attacking you. They're not attacking anybody. They're creating a safe space for themselves. You stupid
I
white
wish
bitch.
that when I was younger, and I was invited into a couple of black spaces, that I had really understood the significance of that.
Yeah.
I mean, I understood that I really didn't belong there.
Yeah.
But I was invited in, so it was like, okay.
So that's okay, yeah.
But I didn't understand really the cultural significance of the fact that I was being honored by being asked to be part of this black space.
Yeah.
And so I thought that was, I thought it was cool then, but it wasn't until years later that I really got the full impact of what had happened for me and to me. And it was like, wow.
Well, and that's like the thing. You were invited into this space to do your thing, right? And that's different than just going in and doing your thing and being like, praise me, right? Like, I think that's really important to note, is that these spaces aren't just super exclusionary. It's for Black and brown people to have their shared lived experiences, right? And inviting people who are non-POC to come and entertain or do whatever, that is like an honor, right? It's a huge honor.
Absolutely. Well, and I know for me, because it happened initially when I was very, very young, baby queen, like I was in my early 20s. But then when I was 40 and had gone to Los Angeles and was invited to perform at this club there, that I was the only white person there. And I'm going to tell you, if you are white and you've never been in a space where you are the minority, I highly recommend it.
Do it.
Because I want you to know what it feels like, because it feels strange. And I wasn't like, oh no, I'm surrounded by black people. It's like, my first thought was, oh God, they're going to be like, who is this white girl? Yeah. Why is she here?
Why the fuck
is she lost?
Wonder bread looking hoe here.
No. And I really did. I was like, they're going to be looking at, and when they introduce me to perform, they're going to be like, there's a white girl performing.
I'm sorry.
Because literally,
is she a missionary?
And I'm not exaggerating. I was literally the only white person in the entire club.
Yeah.
But I was invited by the club owner to perform.
Girl.
So, and then they loved me.
Yeah,
so I'm just going to say that.
Yeah.
But I was initially like, oh boy.
Yeah.
You know, because nobody told me that it was a predominantly black club.
Yeah.
And I mean, I would have still gone, but I would have at least known what I was stepping into. And honestly, I was never like, ooh, I'm afraid for my life. Nothing.
No.
It really was, they're going to hate me.
Yeah, right. I get it.
Luckily, they didn't, because I'm awesome. But, you know, black and brown spaces are black and brown spaces. And you don't need to be, as a whitey, you don't need to be part of it.
You don't need to put yourself there. If you're invited there, that's different.
Awesome.
But you don't need to put yourself into that situation.
But I feel kind of the same way about, like, when white people are like, oh, I'm going to go to the powwow. It's like, if you're going to appreciate, awesome.
Yep.
If you're going because you're like, I want to be part of this thing, and I'm gonna, wear a Indian headdress or whatever crap, stay home.
Don't do it.
Stay the fuck
If you're going
home.
anywhere for the wrong reasons, just stay the fuck home. Find a hobby, bitch. Do you know what I mean? Like, you don't need to go to spaces that are culturally relevant to other fucking people and then act like it belongs to you, because it doesn't.
No, it doesn't. Well, and it never has. And we have, as white people, made it so it was hard to even have a space. And when things were created in black and brown culture, we stole it.
Still
every bit of it. We stole people, we stole their things, we stole their culture, we stole their music, we stole their hairstyle,
their
we
language,
stole their clothes, we stole their,
Yeah.
And it was like, you don't get to own everything just because you're white.
No.
So calm the fuck down and get out.
Well, and there are specific powwows that are meant for community.
Yes.
Not meant just for intertribal powwow, because there are some too that are ceremonial, intertribal, only them. But a lot of times, the Delta Park powwow, that's very intertribal. It's for literally anybody who wants to go.
Right.
And the one we went to in Vancouver last year. So there are a lot that are like that, especially if they're...
and that's great.
Yeah.
But it's only great if you go with respect.
Agreed.
And don't try to be like, oh, everyone's up doing it, I should get up and dance with them. No. Well, if you're invited, absolutely.
Yes, you should.
If they say, come dance with us if you would like, absolutely. Give it a shot. But don't get out there and act a fool.
Oh, you're doing it. I can do it too.
Yeah.
No, you can't.
No.
And maybe you'll learn the steps, but you don't have, again, the cultural significance of what that means.
Right. We went to I don't remember what it was called, but it was it was Indigenous Night at the high school. And so we went to that, and it was mainly, it was kind of twofold. They fed us, and then they did some of their stuff that they would do like at a powwow, but they also explained the cultural significance of each thing. It's like, we do this thing, and here's why we do it, and here's how we do it, and here's, how many hundreds of years this has been happening, and why it's so important to us.
Yeah.
Because really, most white people, all they know is what they've seen in movies, and those people aren't even indigenous people.
Well, and
they're
also
white people painted brown.
Also, it's like every indigenous person wears moccasins and weaves dream catchers and wears a headdress and wears war paint and like sleeps in a teepee. Like they all do the same thing, as if being indigenous isn't like diverse groupings.
No, it's
of
one
people.
thing.
Yeah, just one thing. Everyone wears a headdress. When there's like 5 tribes out of like the 1,000 tribes in the United States that wear.
Well, it's like totem poles.
Exactly.
Everyone thinks that's a thing that all indigenous people know.
No, it's only Pacific Northwest.
Yeah.
That's it.
Or the teepee. Mm-hmm. People, Plains Indians.
Nomadic Indians.
Yeah.
Yep,
they're the ones who lived in teepees because they can fold them up, take it with them.
Yeah. Well, that's what... okay, I have a quick story. And then I know we have a topic. But
once again, we're 45 minutes into our
we don't have a topic. Then we're just talking about this. It's fine. My old manager, who I love, and we have, it's love-hate sometimes. She would always be like, oh, I'm Cherokee. I'm Cherokee, I'm Cherokee, I'm Cherokee, I'm Cherokee. And I said, of course you are. And one year for Christmas, she got these ornaments that were hand-painted, beautiful ornaments. And they were teepees painted on them. And she gave them to her sisters. And I said, oh, that's cool. And she's like, yeah, well, we're Cherokee. And I said, so why did you get a teepee then painted on these ornaments for your Cherokee family? And she's like, because we're Cherokee. And I said, Cherokee people never once slept in fucking teepees. Not ever one time, bitch. They're from like the southeast woodland. They're from the wood.
Unless they were stolen and brought to another.
They lived in like clay houses and then log cabins, or long houses, right? They never lived in fucking teepees. So it's shit like that I'm all, you have no idea what you're talking about. You are just being like, well, I'm native. I'm Cherokee. I'm a Cherokee princess. And that shit, I'm like, you're being it's so incorrect though. And lucky and not lucky you're talking to me, because I said, that's wrong. That's wrong. Yeah. And your culture's a lie. Yeah. And you're full of shit.
So your culture is one you have made up.
Uh-huh.
It's 100% made up.
And that's why, because my grandfather, that is the tribe he comes from, which is technically Cherokee people. Yeah. But I don't ever call them Cherokee people, because I call them by like their indigenous name, which is Aniunawa. Because I'm not saying Cherokee. I'm not telling people that I'm part Cherokee native, because I don't want people to be like...
Of course you are.
Right. Well, your grandma was a Cherokee princess, right? I don't want that bullshit. Like,
right. You just tell everyone you're Persian.
I am... bitch. I am. It doesn't matter what.
I know, but it's like 1%.
Girl... Dude, would you believe that I was East Asian? I'm sorry, West Asian. Would you believe that I'm Asian?
Yeah. It's the green eyes and the ivory skin.
Uh-huh. That's it. I am the jade princess from Persia.
Here's the idea. Once they put on full, like, kabuki makeup, then they're the color of hue.
Oh, okay. So I'm not Japanese, bitch.
I'm just saying once, Asian, because that's what everyone thinks all Asians do kabuki makeup and wear kimonos.
Have a really thick accent for no reason. Even the wrong accent.
Right. Always the wrong accent.
Always the wrong. I know. Well, that was the most shocking thing to me, that, your stepfather, my grandfather, was the whitest man to exist, and he's indigenous and Persian.
Have you ever seen the color of, like, fish after you catch them? Like that, their belly is, like, kind of a neon white?
Yeah.
That's what color he was.
Oh.
He was fish belly white. And what's funny is we used to say that to him.
That's so funny.
He was like, you are literally the color of a dead fish.
It's so funny. And, like, I think the only telling thing is that he had really dark hair.
Yeah.
And his eyebrows were, like, thick and bushy. And connected in the middle. Those are the only things that I think ever gave away that he wasn't just straight white people.
Yeah.
Yeah. But he was... because he had that friend that told grandma, like, oh, if you don't tell him about your native ancestry or whatever, then if you don't tell him that you're native, then you can...
Okay. He didn't say native.
Indian.
He said if you don't tell him you're an Indian,
right,
then you can join the Elks Lodge.
Right. Well, I wasn't going to say that.
I know, but let's talk about what he said. He said if you lie about your Indian, family, then you can join the Elks Lodge.
That shit would make me stab him in the throat.
Well, he was a guy who needed to be stabbed in the throat. So,
Well, and Grandma back in the day was was feisty as fuck. So I can only imagine how well that.
Yeah, that did not go over well at all. No.
Mm-mm.
But on that very note, her mother and her grandmother did lie on their marriage certificates and said they were white.
Yeah.
So,
well, I know.
So they could marry white men because it was still illegal.
Oh, yeah. Well, because let's think about it. Because interracial marriage wasn't the Loving versus West Virginia, Loving versus wherever, which is the Supreme Court case, wasn't until 1964.
Okay. I knew it was in the 60s. I was going to say 67. I knew it was in the 60s. But yeah, it was illegal till then.
Yeah.
And my grandparents married in 1936, I want to say.
Okay.
And so obviously her parents...
At the turn of the century.
At least 20 years before that, probably a little bit more. Because my grandmother was born in 1916. So,
your grandma. I was thinking of...
But she was born in 16, and she's the second oldest. So they had to be married at the latest at like 1910.
Yeah.
So, it was very frowned upon. And I don't know who she was fooling. If you saw pictures of my great-grandmother, you could see that she was indigenous.
Well, and growing up, hearing the stories that your mother, my grandmother, has to say about what happened to her, about, she wasn't able to go into like bars or the stores because it would say like no natives allowed, but it'd say like, no Indians or whatever. Because she was brown. She wasn't allowed to go in. That's crazy to me.
Yes.
And she still is like, well, I'm white. Where?
Well,
the soles of your feet,
but
bitch.
she had to, they also went to a different, they didn't get married there where they lived.
Right.
Because everyone knew her.
Weird.
And for her to pass as white, which, again, I don't know how that happened.
No.
They had to go to a different courthouse.
Yeah.
Where no one knew her family.
That's so crazy.
My grandmother was one of 15 children.
Mm-hmm.
But my great-grandmother, she started out in, I want to say in the Dakotas.
Okay.
I think.
Okay.
I would have to look again. And then moved to Montana.
Right, okay.
But everyone knew her. And everyone treated her like garbage.
Yeah.
It's like she was this old farmer. She lived on a farm with her husband and her 457 children.
Yeah.
What's the threat?
Honestly. And they lived in like a little wooden house with no doors or windows. Well,
they had doors.
Oh, okay.
But no windows.
Right.
And I never understood that because I was like, when my mother would say they had a house with no windows, I'm like, what do you mean it has no windows? So what, things just are flying in and out and they freeze to death in the winter? Well, they had these things that were fitted to, like, wood.
Yeah.
They were fitted to the window frames.
That would board them up, essentially.
So, you would board them up at night so you didn't have animals coming up in your house. And you'd board them up in the winter.
Makes
But
sense.
you could always pop them out, like, when it was nice weather.
Yeah.
But...
It's so interesting, right?
But there was no indoor plumbing.
Right, they had an outhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, interesting. Well, back in the day, you had 85 children to take care of.
To work the farm.
Yep. Well, and infant mortality was so high that they're like, well, half of these will probably die, so we need to keep having them.
Just keep going.
Just keep producing them, yeah.
Oh my God. And she was having babies. My great-grandmother, Mandy, was having babies up and through when her daughter, my grandmother, was having babies. So my mother had 4 aunts who were like around her age.
That's so interesting.
Isn't that weird?
Yeah.
I mean, they're all dead now because none of them lived to be very old. I mean, they didn't die like as children.
Yeah.
But none of them lived to be very old people.
Weird.
Except, here's what's kind of funny to me. All my whole life growing up, my grandmother always talked about her uncle. My uncle. Her brother, Buster. And yes, his name really is Buster.
Buster
That
Brown.
wasn't his nickname. Buster Brown.
Yeah.
And I think that my great-grandmother, because she was not an educated woman, just heard names.
Yeah.
And Buster Brown was a brand of shoes.
I love it.
And so she liked it.
What was his name? Buster Brown Tiffany?
Yeah. His name was Buster Brown Tiffany.
That is so funny. I love that.
One of my aunts is named after the city in New York where their people came from, which is Oneida. But she pronounced it Oneida.
Oh.
But it's also a China that comes... a very expensive China that comes from Oneida, New York.
Interesting.
But whatever.
Yeah.
I think that she was just like, well, that sounds good.
Yeah.
But my grandmother used to always talk about my Uncle Buster. And so when we'd go visit my grandmother, it would be Yahtzee and gossip.
I love that.
Right? It's where I learned my
dream.
love for games and gossip.
Games and gossip, yes.
Are you kidding? I mean, gossip. I love it. I'm not even going to try to pretend I don't. Love it. Mm-hmm. But whenever she talked about Buster, she would always be, oh, that worthless bastard, that worthless son of a bitch, you know. Because Buster, up until he was much older and got married, he was a traveler.
Oh.
So he would come stay with you for a couple weeks and stay with someone else for a couple weeks until he'd worn out his welcome. And then he'd move on.
Got it.
And that's how he lived for a while.
Interesting, okay.
When I found his obituary, he outlived all of them, by the way.
Wow, okay.
Outlived all of them. He lived to be older than any of his siblings and was so beloved by his community.
Really?
He had married, I think, 2 or 3 times, had a passel of children, but even all of his ex-wives said glowing things about him.
Weird.
About what a wonderful, loving man he was and them all. That is not the image I had of Uncle Buster. Now, I met Uncle Buster only once. He stayed with us for 2 weeks. And I thought he was, you know, the cat's pajamas, man.
Yeah.
He was cool. He was fun. He loved kids.
I love that.
Yeah.
Cute.
So,
how funny.
But I also didn't know my other great-grandmother, the white one.
The white one. The hardcore one.
Yeah. That my mother had always talked about being like, oh, just such a stick in the mud and so stern. That she was a boss bitch.
Yeah, she was a baddie.
She was the first female postmaster.
Okay.
She was a midwife. She, you know, worked for what do they call it? When they delivered mail on horseback.
Oh, the
Pony Express.
That's it.
I mean, she did fucking everything.
That's crazy.
And she was married 3 times in a time where you married one man. And if they were garbage or not, you stayed with them.
Yeah.
And she was all, fuck that.
I'm out.
You know, one of them died and 2 of them she divorced, and I'm all, good for you.
Yeah, bitch, I love that.
You know.
Good for her.
Yeah.
I know.
So, I mean, you know, there's some amazing women up in my past.
Yeah, girl.
Up in my history.
Yeah.
Which, you know, FamilySearch.com, by the way, is today's episode is sponsored by FamilySearch.com.
I wish.
I wish too, because I love them. I've done lots and lots of stuff on Ancestry, but they're now so crazy expensive.
Yeah.
But Family Search is the website you and I both did, where you are able to go all the way back to fucking Jesus.
Yeah.
And beyond.
Yeah, girl.
I traced us all the way back to fucking Adam and Eve.
Ma'am, I went all the way back to Ahura Mazda, which is like the Persian god
I'm
of
sorry,
good.
you rented a Mazda?
Yeah.
What?
We went back to Mazda when it was created. No, Ahura Mazda, which is like the good god, essentially, in Persian mythology.
I'm sorry, but you traced your lineage back to a god?
To mythology, bitch. What you mean?
Yeah, I was like, I am so old. Like, trace us back to mythology.
Yeah.
Nice.
I just have very divine blood.
Yeah.
If you tell by my birth parents, obviously.
I'm just gonna say that doesn't seem
Sure.
right.
Sure.
Yeah,
Sure.
your parents.
Well, they're just
Your
donors.
adopted parents.
They're,
yes.
you know, I had donors and then real parents.
Yeah, and your real parents are awesome.
They're all right. They're kind of sassy and real entitled, but
whatever.
But we'll take it.
Yeah, but they love you
I
unconditionally.
know. I don't know
So,
what's wrong
what
with
more
them.
could you ask for?
I mean,
I know.
a lot.
Build
more.
your house in their backyard.
I mean, girl.
And love your new man.
I know.
He's pretty great, though.
It's not hard to do.
No, it's not hard to love him. He's pretty great.
I know.
And we have now talked our full hour and never even got to our topic.
Well, next week we'll talk about...
Next week we'll talk about our topic.
Which is
makeup. We're going to talk about makeup, but I specifically wanted to talk about makeup and queer brands.
Yeah, okay.
Queer-owned makeup,
Well,
queer-friendly.
Cool, I'm just going to talk about makeup, but you can hit on the queer.
Well, yeah. So you get to hear what our topic is. We're not going to talk about it today.
No, but you can hear about it. Now it's like we're holding ourselves accountable. We told you we're going to talk about it next week.
Yeah.
So now we'll have to talk about it next week.
What's funny to
No
me,
disappointment.
and I want to really discuss this with you next week,
Okay.
is I thought that the makeup that I was buying, because it feels expensive to me,
Yeah.
was expensive. Like some of the ones we'll talk about, some of the like Trixie Cosmetics and stuff, Kimchi Cosmetics. They feel expensive to me because it's more expensive than the shit I used to buy when I was young.
Yeah.
But when you compare it to luxury brand,
Uh-uh.
it's nothing.
No.
It's cheap. Like $35 for a blush palette, nothing.
No, that's great.
Yeah.
It's a great price.
But I did not realize that until I really started looking. I was like, oh, $100 for this, whatever.
And I want you to know, I would never buy shit that expensive.
No.
Not makeup. No, ma'am.
And do you know who Bethany Frankel is?
Yeah.
She's one of the Real Housewives of New York.
Yeah.
But she does a whole TikTok series about, expensive makeup versus cheap makeup. And more often than and skincare. It's not just makeup.
Yeah.
And more often than not, she's like, this $6 thing is just as good as the $60 thing.
Yeah.
Or the $600 thing.
Yeah.
And it's packaging.
Mm-hmm.
So,
it is mostly packaging.
Yeah.
Well, and sometimes formulation. But
now next week we are actually going to get to our topic. Cosmetics.
Yes.
And, all the cool stuff around that.
Yeah. It's been good times.
And even the not cool stuff around it.
Yeah. Like the bad makeup.
We have run out of time because...
we don't shut up.
Tangents are indeed topics.
Aren't they, though?
And, all the things. So, if you liked our show, then like, share, subscribe, do all the things. Write to us at itwouldseemasThough@gmail.com. Find us on any of the podcasting apps. Mm-hmm. And come back next week.
Yeah. Girl, we gotta go.
Yeah, we gotta go.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
It would seem as though